There we go. Okay. So this is our first one. Thank you for joining. And Kyle, I see that you're saying something. Can you hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Kyle might be having some technical difficulties there. So I, for so many months and years really, but especially the last several months, have been trying to come up with a way to help more people with their self-treatment. So that's what really inspired this for me. I find that, when I'm with a patient in the treatment room, I want to be able to have as much time with hands-on, of course, and we do as much as we can with interacting, but I always wish we had more time, and we've done the coaching classes here and there, and we've, but it's not a super consistent thing. And what I found is years ago when I had a situation where I was doing classes, say every week, we were doing some of our self-treatment class back at Saxon Square, and some of you might remember that. I know,
Yes.
Savarna, there's some, yeah. It was very helpful, wasn't it, to have that
Yes.
consistency? Yeah. And so I find that that's what's really been missing. If you're not getting that, and you're not getting that feedback or this just even interaction, right? Or just the simple opportunity to say, hey, I woke up with this kink today and I don't know what to do about it, and I will often have a suggestion because I've worked through lots of those things. But, and I always offer for people to be able to, hey, reach out to me whenever, but I know people don't want to bother me. And I say, it doesn't matter. My phone's always off, so you can always reach out. But it's hard. And I get that. So what I wanted to do was to be able to have this forum really where we can just kind of chat, learn from each other. Also an opportunity for me to teach some things, maybe explain to people if they have questions. Maybe they don't even know what fascia is, and they can show up here and I can do some teaching. And, it's always good to hear some of these things again, and to share and to just, have a way for me to offer some knowledge. So with that, I wanted to start with asking if anyone has a specific question, first of all. Don't be shy. Anybody? So I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna say hello to Edith here. Edith, do you know that you're saying Edith, Edie? So it's Edie, right? So how are you? Are you better today? Any self-treatment? Oh, she took her. Wait, there she's gone. Okay. Okay. Any self-treatment today from you, Edie?
Me?
Yeah. Did you do self-treatment today?
I have not yet. I'm getting ready to because I watched my great nephew today, so I am running behind.
Okay, gotcha. So I thought I would ask just because we were talking about it recently. So has anybody done self-treatment today? Okay, Suvarna has. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you. So, Kyle, I can see you talking, but I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Okay. So let me just start with this. When I wake up in the morning, and I did this today, I tune into my body and I feel what tensions might be there. And I will tell you that this has changed quite a bit over the years for me. And this is from many years of awareness of my own body, and just developing my touch and feeling other people's bodies has also helped me to feel into my own. And what I think has been really helpful is this whole idea of the arm and leg lengtheners. It's kind of the absolute easiest thing to learn and to do. And it's something that I've given to people who are in such a severe condition. I mean, even in the hospital when I was working in acute care, if someone was bedridden, I could teach this to them. and show them some techniques by like me pulling on their body and then asking them to reach and lengthen into it. So it didn't really bother any range of motion contraindications that they might have. And it really helps to bring awareness into our body. And the reason why that's good is two things. We are really, really good at disconnecting. We go up here, and that's what John Barnes talks about as being channel 5, right? So if we're thinking and we're in our thinking mind or intellectual mind, and we're processing, we're usually not connected into what's going on with our body. Now we can work on that. Like I can do that very well now, but still it's not the same if I'm able to like come out of my intellectual side and really feel what's going on in our body. And when we give that skill back to ourselves and actually learn it, because I feel we had it when we were, first came into this earth as babies, right? We are very connected to our bodies. And then as society and just growing takes its toll, we lose that ability to really be present and in our bodies. So we have to come back in, we have to feel what's going on in our body to be able to treat it. So this morning when I was, my alarm went off, and I'm so excited because my alarm has been giving me problems and it's been doing this horrible sound. Well, now I have my Sonos doing my alarm and I wake up to beautiful music. So it's very soothing. So I'm lying there and I start my legs at the last. So, Edie, if you guys aren't talking, you might want to mute. There you go. Here, I'll mute you. There we go. So I thought I would just show that to you. I mean, I know a lot of you have seen the arm and leg lengtheners, but this comes from a story of about a little over a year ago, or around a year ago, where I was having a lot of low back issues, and not anything that would, put me out or anything, but I always had this thickening and painful area right here in my body, especially in my colon area. I had a lot of digestive stuff going on always, and it felt like tightness here. Now I had 2 C-sections right here, and this right side was very pulled into my hip. So I could feel that tightness from that scar going all the way into the joint. And then it was starting to go up into my low back. So there was an area, like kind of a long triangle, like this big, that I could feel all in this area. And it was really, it was something that I just kind of dealt with. It was so deep. It was starting to make also like my vertebrae pop. Especially if I would be working on a patient and there's any kind of twisting going on, I would feel like this deep plunk in my lumbar spine. If you've ever had that happen, a lot of times people do that to try to get some relief. And for several months, this was going on, like maybe even a year, a long time, right? And it was starting to get worse, but there was nothing I could really do to tap into it. So this one morning, I actually didn't have to go anywhere. So I woke up and I was doing this leg lengthening thing, and I could feel this tightness all the way up from the low back up towards my rib cage on that right side. And all I simply did to tap into that was to lie, like I'm laying in bed like this, right? And I pulled my toes back. I just pulled my right toes back. Now, a lot of times I teach it with a leg up, but I'm relaxed. I don't really need to do the leg up. And I just reached my heel. Now, if you can see the hands on my pelvis here, I'm going to move it back and forth. If you've been to the class, I talk about the supine shimmy and doing some rebounding. So I'm making my pelvis move by reaching my leg. And as I reach my leg, I can feel this whole area in my back, like this big. And I just got to the edge of that, and it felt so good. Then I added my arm in like the snow angel move, of course the headboard's here, so I bend my elbow and I'm reaching my arm away, my shoulder blade, my rib cage, and then I'm reaching my lower body away, so that this area that I could feel along my spine, I'm taking up the slack, right? So kind of like, if you can think of cloth, like this is, all wavy, but I was reaching my leg and tapping into that area so that I was making it taut. And I stayed there, and I have a projection clock on my ceiling so I can know how long I do this stuff, which is very handy, by the way. And it's several minutes are going by, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. And this whole time I can feel that I'm really getting deep into this tissue, and it's going right into my vertebrae, and it felt good. So I just kept holding it. And I'm not using a lot of strength. It's not like, holding this in the air for 30 minutes, right? It's just taking up the slack a little bit. And around 20 to 25 minutes, I'm still holding. I'm not letting go at all. Like that whole time, I'm keeping that tension. I start to feel things soften. And it was so amazing. I could feel it go from like this wide, slowly, 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 slowly. And it was just like starting to go, like when something begins to unravel, And so I stayed there for another 10 minutes. So between 30 and 35 minutes, I finally let go. That piece that was this big that I was feeling came down to about this. Like you can kind of feel it and kind of sense how big it was. It was very minimal. And then the next few days, I did the same thing. I didn't have to stay that long, but I made sure I stayed at least 5 minutes, because we know it takes a good 5 minutes for this collagen to start to change shape. And I got rid of that sensation that I was feeling for probably years after doing that. And it was so amazing. Like I remember going to work after that, that following week, and not having any more of that deep popping happen. It was totally gone. So that experience taught me that, we can make changes in our own body from within. And so I always refer to that now as my inner therapist, because I'm allowing my body to be in a different place so that my body can adapt to that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I've been trying to tell that, story as much as I can, because I am kind of curious when I explain that to you, and as you try that, does it make sense? Like, are you able to feel the pulling into your body? Is that something that you feel like maybe you're not going to stay 30 minutes, but if you actually could feel like, wow, when I do this to the right leg and I do it to my left leg, I feel like, no, this left side is definitely tighter. There's something going on over here. Would you be able to hold that for a while? So I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are, if anybody wants to interject.
Is it like you're lengthening your legs, like both of them together, and holding that? Or you said kind of you're lengthening one at a time. So
One at a time.
And then holding that for I don't think I could hold that for 15 minutes, maybe 5.
Yeah, so you start with 5, and it's not very much. So that's the thing, is to know that it's not a long hold. I mean, it's not an intense, strenuous hold. It's just a gentle reach with your heel. And you're not lifting your leg up from the bed or anything like that. You're just ever so gently lengthening. So if I'm with someone, I'll put my fingers, like say this is your heel, right? This is your leg, these are your toes. Here's the heel. I'll put my fingers at the base of the heel, and I'll say, just gently push into my fingers. So there's a little bit of lengthening, and because you can push real hard, and that is more strenuous, but this it's not strenuous at all, right? And so when you think about the endurance that we have in our bodies, think about our head and neck, right? We're holding our head up all day. Like babies have to develop that, but after a while they get it and they have that endurance is there. So if you're able to hold, your head and neck, just think of it that way. It's not like you're wearing something heavy. If you wear something heavy on your head, it'd be hard, right? But it's just ever so gently lengthening. And you can do it with your arm too. In fact, this past summer when I was working through the injuries I had a lot of tension here in the front of my shoulder. And so at night, when I would lie down, I would open my arm up like this, because, I'm like this all day, right? We're arms are forward a lot during the day. So this area in front gets very tight. But if we just simply open like this, most people can feel that stretching across the front of their body, right? Like I feel that as I open my arms up. If you guys do that right now, you might feel that stretch and open. Okay. So, but we're not going to stay here. Like this is hard, right? I couldn't stand here like this for 15 minutes up. But if I lie down and I open my arm out and I let my arm rest here, now this area is in a different position than it was most of the day, right? But it's giving it a chance to adapt to being here. So on my right shoulder where I had all this tightness and trouble, I would lie my arm down on the bed. I would reach my arm just a little bit, and then I have a heavier pillow that I just lay on top of the arm, and then it kind of holds the arm there, you know? So my arm is kind of stretched, but it's not really stretched, it's just in a different position. It's just open, right? And so it's giving this tissue an opportunity to change. Because what we know about the fascia, I mean, the body in general, is going to adapt. It's going to adapt to whatever we do or whatever we don't do. And then, you know, because why is it going to do anything else? I mean, it's following our guidance. So if we're bent forward or our heads are forward a lot throughout the day, this gets tight. If we never open this up, then it's going to get stiff and tight. And the fascia starts to get more solidified, less fluid. And it's that fluidity that we need. Does that explain it a little bit better? Like, do you think that you could leave your arm out or even just gently reach your leg? You know, so it's not a huge reach. And sometimes I have to tell people that, oh, not quite that hard, just till you feel it, like just till you can feel that pulling up into your body. And it's very gentle, but we don't need to be harsh or forceful. Any other thoughts? Got it? Okay.
Yeah, this is something I can do. I'm in a wheelchair right now.
Yeah.
And this is something that I can do for self-treatment. I mean, everything's messed up.
Yeah.
Right now, but bringing those into alignment is helpful.
Yes.
It works on pain.
Good. Yes, you could absolutely do this, Pearl. And you know, I'm brought back to the calm technique that I coined this acronym, I don't know, 5 years or so ago now. And the reason why I thought of it is I realized that, you know, patients were coming in and we were talking about self-treatment, and they weren't understanding what I was trying to convey. Like I wanted them to be able to feel what's going on in their body. What's your symptom? What's going on? And how do you feel into your body to figure it out, right? And so I came up with the calm technique, and it's CALM. The C stands for connect. And it's kind of like getting in this channel 3 idea. Like we have to connect to our body and feel what's going on in our body, and not just kind of be out here in our head and thinking about what we didn't do at work today or what has to happen tomorrow and all this stuff, because you can't do really good self-treatment if all of that's going on. And believe me, I know, like I multitask a lot, and there are things sometimes I have to, you know, do work while I'm doing legs up the wall, and I'm pretty good at still connecting, but it's not the same as when I, you know, put my phone away and I really go internal and sense what's going on in my body. So that C stands for connect. If you're not connected to your body, you know, and really feeling what's going on, you're not going to have the same result. The A stands for assess. So we need to assess what's going on. Now, some people are assessing all day. Like if you're somebody who feels everything like I do, like, I know that this is going on over here, this is over here, oh, this is a little different in this place, you know, but sometimes we turn that all off. And athletes are good at this because, you know, they go out, they have to do their event or their run or whatever. And for years I did this. And Kyle and I were running partners for a long time, right? We'd go out at 5 a.m. and we'd do, you know, 5-mile run. And you have to push yourself to get through this sometimes. And you shut off these signs of what your body's trying to tell you. And sometimes that's okay. Like we need to push through that resistance because we're just, you know, we need to get the inertia moving, right? Other times the body's trying to tell us something's wrong, but we're shutting it off because we got other stuff to think about. And this is about assessing what's going on if you're not someone who feels it all the time. And even for me, I feel a lot of stuff, but I want to assess a little further. So again, we're back to the arm and leg lengthener, right? If I reach, and I'm going to go ahead and bend one leg. If I, this leg is bent, it kind of takes it out of the equation. I pull my right toes back toward me. I reach my right leg. I feel up into my body. I'm going to snow angel my arm out. What I mean by that is I'm pushing snow, right? When you make a snow angel, your upper arm has to be on the ground or you're not going to make the snow angel. So as soon as you start to feel like it's too tight or it's painful to leave your arm on the ground and it starts to come up like this, then that's where you need to stay. Okay, so it's not painful at all. And you reach the arm and you notice, what is there easy movement here? Can you easily, does anything, just remember what it feels like. And then you go over here, you do the other side, reach and lengthen over here, and notice what it feels like over there. And maybe you got to do it a couple times before you realize what's going on. And just that act of reaching and holding is going to engage that tissue. Okay, so you can use that as an assessment, but it doesn't have to be arm and legs. Maybe it's something that you're doing seated. Maybe you're reaching this arm and you could, like, you're going to do some motion with this arm and notice, like for me, I just got done working all day. I have some tightness here. There's definitely, I could for sure work, I could always work here, but I'm going to think about, okay, this is, and I'm assessing still, this is where it's tight. I feel something going on here. Okay. And all these different parts of your body that you're paying attention to. And then that's CA, and then L is to listen. So I love using the analogy of, how you can have a conversation with somebody, and we're all guilty of it, like on both sides, right? Where you're like hearing them, but you're not really listening or vice versa. Right. And so we might assess what's going on and you might feel something, but now that listening means let's go deeper with that assessment. Let's feel, maybe where's that attached to? Where is it going? What else do I feel at the same time as I'm doing this movement? And that listening needs to carry on through the whole self-treatment that you're doing, because things will change and then you'll start to notice what you're doing and the effect that it has on your body. Okay. So the next one is M, stands for move. Okay. And move could either mean, move your butt off the couch and get on the floor to do something, or maybe it means move out of this position of legs up the wall because now it's starting to get uncomfortable. Like it was good for like the first, however long, 3 minutes, and now it's starting to get uncomfortable. So maybe you try moving your legs a little bit further apart at first and see if that's okay, if you can stay there longer. Or maybe in legs up the wall, I feel this happen a lot, where as I settle in and I've been there for a while, my pelvis might start to move a little bit. It might be like softening. And so as it's softening, I might start to feel things move. And we want to allow that to happen, because that's the fascia shifting and changing, and the fluidity of the tissue is making a change, right? So CALM, as we go through then whatever it is we choose to do, like let's say me, I felt this is really tight right here. Like I really do need to do the foam roller tonight, like just lying on it and letting my arms hang out. Okay. Like I was mentioning in bed, just doing this in bed, similar, only I'm doing the foam roller, which is giving me more motion. Okay. So I go to the roller, I get myself situated, I'm comfortable, I'm connected, I'm assessing. Okay, I get on the roller, now I'm assessing. Is that too high? Like if I use the big roller, sometimes, like the full round one, even though I've been doing this for a long time, sometimes I might get on here, get all the way to the end. See how I really get your butt all the way to the end. So my sacrum's on there. I'm down. I bring my arms out. If it's too intense, like right now, this one's okay. Like I would be okay here. But I really feel it in my shoulder blade on the right, and I feel it in the front of my chest here too. And It's not too intense though. If I was on the bigger roller, I'm pretty sure it would be too intense. So as I'm listening to that, I'm listening to my body saying the move means, you know what? Okay, Cindy, go get the blanket and put it, I'll do it on my left side so you can see. And put it under your arm because this side needs it. You see what I mean? And so even though that's making it less intense, it's more tolerable and I'll be able to be there longer and my body won't be going into this, you know, tightening because it's starting to hurt, you know? We don't want it to be too much because then the body is going to tighten back and we don't want that, you know? So that is how we use the calm technique as we're treating ourselves. Does anybody have any comments on that or questions or thoughts? No?
It was
So-
helpful.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Let's see, hip strap stretches, another one of my favorites. Chuck, you're laughing. I can hear you laughing. Is that something you do very often or not so much?
That's in the not so much category.
I know, I hear that a lot from people, not so much. And I always wonder why that is, but I think because it's like, I don't know, is it complicated?
Some of the moves are, yeah. I have a little
Yeah.
trouble with, particularly holding the strap with my hands sometimes is for very long is a little painful, I guess, actually with my hand. So that's like the last thing I do.
Okay. So
And I probably do that every morning.
that
Good for you.
girl,
Yeah. That I can do. I can't use the strap on the left foot
right,
because that would be, I'm thinking the same as weight bearing,
right,
but I can still do the movements without putting the strap there.
right, which is great. And gosh, that you've been doing these for so many years,
Mhm.
and it's kept you very flexible. Everyone's always amazed, right, at your flexibility, which is
Right.
which is cool. So I'm going to give you guys a tip on using this. You can see me here. If it's difficult for your hands, because I've been there, but I've been doing it so long that, you know, I've got it down really well, and I have a few tips. So 2 things. When you, of course, I always put this right at the ball of the foot, right? If you put it down in the arch, it's different. This is not the same as this, right? We got to have around the ball of the foot. So when I get down, here's how I grab the strap. I put it between my thumb, like across my palm like this. I clasp it with my thumb. And then I turn my hand around and I wrap it like this, okay? Now, even if you get that, the trick is to, sometimes it wants to go up here in your finger. See that?
Yeah.
That's painful. Because if it's around my fingers like this, it's not as easily supported. So I make sure it's around the palm like this. And then I've got it pulling my arms, so my arm is straight. I'm not going like this, okay? I'm not, see how my arm is bent here? That's fine, but I used to do it that way, but I'm muscling it here. And this arm isn't getting any benefit. Instead, I reach up high, there's my strap again, and my hand is active, but my shoulder is going along for the ride. So I let the strap pull my arm just like it's holding my leg. And now I actually really feel this in the shoulder blade. Oh, it feels really good, because if this space between your shoulder blade and your rib cage gets tight, it really affects how your arm moves, you know? It can go all the way up into your head and neck. In fact, this is my favorite series. If I have a neck tweak, I'll start with this, because this actually really helps to release my neck. Now, let's say your hand gets really tired holding it here, okay? Here's another trick. you take the strap behind your back and you make sure that it's on the same side. See, so I don't go across my body. I just put it, it's on my right foot. So I'm putting it around the right side of my body. And now I'm going to lie down on it. Okay. See how I've got it underneath right there? So the weight of my body helps to hold it. Now I'm going to still wrap it around my hand. And having it here, sometimes I'll take it back up like this so that I've got it around my body. It just helps me to hold on to it, you know? I can also take the strap here. Now I'm not holding it on with my hand at all. I've got it around my body. I'm twisting the strap around and now I can hold it like this and my arms are out. See that? And actually it's holding my leg really well because I've got it twisted around me. I could probably do it a couple more times. And then it just makes it really, I'm not using any tension in my hands at all. The only downside is, well, it's still okay. You can go out to the side, it works. And actually, oh, Subarna, this would be good for you because it's tying around the rib cage. We were just talking about that. So as I go out to the right, I'm feeling a bit of a tug under my left armpit into my rib cage, which is nice, actually. See, I'm listening to my body. I'm feeling this. Oh, this is doing, you know, making some pressure in my ribs, which is good. I like the way that feels. It's kind of it could get into restriction in the rib cage. A lot of people have restriction in the ribs, and our ribs should move with our breath, you know? Okay, so does that give some ideas?
Yeah, I like the looks of that. That's something I can play with and probably help.
Here's another idea. If you've got the long strap, you can see how long this is going way around me here. Sometimes I will take it and put it underneath like a great big giant loop. And you know what? I never take this apart, by the way, because I always use it with some sort of loop. And if you take it out, then it's always tricky to get back in. Anyway, I come up here. You can put both legs in the strap. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of the floor in the living room and I don't want to go to the wall, but I can suspend here. And that feels really good. And I'm getting both calves because I've got it around the balls of my feet. And it does kind of hold it there nicely. But I can also bring one leg down. Okay. So even if, let's say I don't have that much flexibility, let's say my flexibility is down here. It's holding me and my hands are free. See that? I'm definitely getting a stretch in the back of my leg here. I'm lengthening my heel away. I can come up a little higher. Now I can also go out to the side. And kind of like I was doing earlier, I'm actually going to bring this down to my pelvis, just right up above my hip crease. And adjust the strap. Oh, that feels good. That feels good on my left hip where the strap is pressing. That's another way to kind of hold it. And then I can easily switch legs. You can do this against the wall, by the way, too. Of course, you can't bring the leg down, but same idea. You could bring the other leg out on the wall. And then let's say I wanted to move this strap up higher. And shimmy it all the way up here. You always got to be mindful where your buckle is. You can make it the right position. And now I'm up in the rib area as I go out to the left. My right rib cage is getting some pressure. Oh, wow, that feels really good, actually. Now I'm lengthening my right leg And that's my side that's always tighter, right? And now I'm lengthening my right arm, and now I've got the strap going, and I'm getting like a pull all over my body right now. It feels really good. So normally I would stay there for a long time because I feel really supported. So a lot of this is about finding a place or a position where you can be supported. You're not overdoing it. You're not pushing to a point of discomfort, right? And that's always a gray area. Like, well, how much is too much? And so again, this calm technique, connecting, staying connected, assessing all the time, listening to your body all the time, moving out of it a little bit, and you'll find sometimes you only need to do a tiny bit and to change it completely. For example, the small ball on the belly is definitely something that you can just change a little bit and you'll feel the difference. So actually need to do this today too. I was working on someone the other day and they were very tight on one side of the abdomen and it was very tender, but definitely a good place for them to do self-treatment. I'm certain that they wouldn't be able to do this on the floor on that area because it would be too painful. But even if you just move the ball a tiny bit, I'm often amazed because I'm working on my C-section scars a lot that, okay, this spot is too much. Like when I was right here, that's pretty uncomfortable, especially if I were to really fall down. Yeah, see, that's just too much. It's going too deep. But if I move it just a little bit, no, that's still not it. I'm going to go the other side. This is a very firm ball. Okay, that spot's okay. I can just move it a little bit to make sure that I get it in a spot that's tolerable because, it takes about 30 seconds of the ball on the belly just to settle in. And if it's not like, if it's starting to get more intense or that intense feeling isn't going away in about 30 seconds, then you need to move it a little bit, because we don't want to overdo in this area. But once you find a spot, and then what I find is usually, 2 minutes, 3 minutes into it, things are starting to change a little bit. 5 minutes later, sometimes it feels like you're not even on the ball anymore. Anybody experience that? You start to have that change, and it just gets easier. All righty. Anybody else have any thoughts? How about face? I'd like to do something for the head. Anybody have headaches in this group? Tightness or yes. Okay. There's always somebody. Well, headaches were always my thing. And I wish I had known some of these things when I first was having headaches, but I was showing this to someone early today about cranial work. Now, I did a lot of cranial work on myself last year and still do actually. I sometimes now finally I can go a while without having to do a lot of cranial work, but when I first had the accident and all through last summer, twice a day I had to work on my face and my head. And so what it would look like in the morning, I would wake up and I couldn't open my mouth more than like this much, like 1 finger width. Okay. I could go like this and that was it. I couldn't open my mouth anymore every morning. So I had to set my alarm earlier and I would start by doing a jaw release, just lying in bed. Sometimes I would add the leg lengthener at the same time. And I find just my fingertips, take your cheekbones and go down. You kind of feel where it starts to get softer there. And I would put my fingertips into that area and go inward. And toward the center of the face, and then kind of downward. but I'm not moving. I'm not like sliding on the skin, right? I'm just connecting into here and almost like scooping down. Like this would be the motion if I was actually moving, right? It's going in and down. And so this is where you really do want to have a clock kind of nearby, you know, that you can look at, and just kind of see, oh, you know, not that you want to stand there and watch the clock because it will take forever, but when you really get connected and you're really treating yourself, when you are in that space, time is weird. Like sometimes you feel like you've been there for 10 minutes and it's been 2 minutes. Other times you feel like it's been there, you've been there 2 minutes and it's been 10 minutes. It's just kind of nice to know. I don't like look at the clock all the time, but especially when I was doing a lot of this cranial work, I was always noticing because I wanted to go way longer than just a few minutes, you know? And that's when I would really make the change. And sometimes I would have to be here on my jaw for like 7 or 8 minutes. And then I would be able to open my mouth all the way. Now, sometimes just this one didn't do it. Sometimes I would also take my hands flat on the face, use my whole palm in there, and then push together and down. But you got to be steady. That's the other thing I see sometimes people do with these techniques is you get fidgety, right? So even though I'm moving here right now, I am not changing the tension on my jaw at all. It's still going down consistently. Now I'm talking, so that's changing things a little bit, and it would be much better if I wasn't talking. But I can feel this pulling in, and actually I still feel that left side, the left side that would lock me up. It feels different than my right side. So again, there's an assessment, so I can tell, okay, this left side definitely has some tightness in it still. I actually worked on this yesterday really well, so it was kind of creeping in again. But I would stay here again for a good 5 minutes if I could, and wait. Now, what if I didn't have 5 minutes? Is it still not worth it? Is it worth not doing it? No, of course it is. Like I would still do it because a little bit is always better than none. And even if I'm just reaching that elastic component that can release much more quickly, that's still good, especially where I was last year. Everything was tightening up. You know, if I was still at all, it was tightening up, you know? So these are two things that I think are just really, really great for jaw, anything, headaches, you know, any kind of TMJ stuff, ringing of the ears, all that. So the other thing that I love, and, you know, this is perfect because I've got the computer on the sofa here, so my elbows are resting, is just taking your head in your hands. And the palm, I like putting the palms on the temples. And this helped me a ton last year. I just let all my fingers hold my head, and I'm supported, and I'm compressing inward, and I'm just going to wait. You'd be amazed how, you know, after a while of holding this, you can really start to feel things soften. And I think this is so incredibly helpful. I kind of think of this as a more of a global approach, you know, and instead of a pinpoint approach, like those fingertips on the jaw, those really get in there. They're real specific to the jaw. But this helps my whole head. And the jaw also. I'm just holding this here. So after a while of settling in, and if you really do your listening, like really keep feeling and keep your attention on your hands and deep to your hands and in your body, you'll start to notice things. It might take a while, but you might notice that one side feels a little different than the other. And maybe you can't even describe it, you know, it's just kind of different. And people say that a lot. They're like, well, I'm not sure I would describe it. For me, what I'm feeling right now, I'm definitely feeling the left side responding, the right side, not as much. Now I'm starting to feel it behind my eyes. Now I'm feeling it toward my nose more. So remember, fascia responds to compression and elongation. So if we were going to look at the biotensegrity structure, it's a little bit more clear to see this. But you know, sometimes as therapists we're pressing into things, sometimes we're pulling on things. There are different ways. If this feels really good, I don't really want to stop it yet right now. But so I'm compressing here, right? I'm compressing into the system, but then I can take this to a hair pull. Some of you can't do hair pulls maybe, but I can hold my hair and I'm just letting gravity take my head down. And then I'm pulling my hands away from each other a little bit too, really slightly though, like barely, but I feel that difference in the pull on my hair. So what I was doing here, I was going out this way, right? I get my fingers in there and I'm going out, but I can also go back further, totally different area, and just let my head come down toward the floor, and my hands are going up, basically. My head is coming down. So that's a pull, right? I'm not compressing, I'm elongating into that tissue, a little bit different way. And then you can do this, you can shift them like this, right? So I can go make one go forward, one go down, and maybe even twist my hand a little bit. And I mean, this is amazing for headaches as you wait and wait and wait. And if there's an area, a lot of times people are very tender here, like near the temples, especially if you're in the middle of a headache. So just go somewhere else, just go back further, just because you don't have to be right where the pain is. Remember, we have that saying, find the symptom, look elsewhere for the cause. So even if you're somewhere else, you're still going to reach into it because of the nature of the fascia itself, you know? Super helpful. Since we're talking about head, here's the fingers can go right in this little divot right here. If you feel this area right along the crease of the eye, there's a little kind of hole there. Okay, and find it on the other side. And many times people will have like one side is not very clear, you know, it's like kind of not as deep as the other one. Or maybe it'll feel like this, like, can you tell that one's higher than the other? When I do it this way, like sometimes I see that. Sometimes I'll see that one is more forward and one is closer to the floor, right? If they're lying down. So you might be able to tell that on yourself, that this feels different on one side than the other. And so you can just go in, like even just pressure in toward the center. Not too much, again, just, you know, reaching the barrier. And then you might just stay right there, or you might go upward toward the ceiling, or forward toward the tip of the nose, or downward, like all these different directions, you know. And you can even play around with one side going up and the other side going down, but then always coming back to the center and doing the same thing on each side, right? This is the sphenoid release, and it's a bone that it kind of looks like a butterfly. It goes behind the eyes and through the sinuses. Super important, super helpful for any kind of tension in the head and neck. There's still a lot going on with that. So the other thing that you can do if you want to, like, it's a good assessment to go underneath your cheekbones, and then you can see, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see very well. And I don't have the speaker view on, so I'm about this big. But if you look in the mirror, you might be able to feel it yourself. Mine actually feel pretty even. Can you guys tell? Are the bottom of my cheekbones even? I don't know. maybe not. But as you're doing this, it might even be tender, you know, because we look for areas that are hot, hard, or tender. So as I'm poking in on here, I might feel a tender spot. I'm just kind of noticing that. And then one of my favorite things, I did this a lot for after my accident too, is I come in with the palm, and it looked real pretty, but that's okay. And I'm taking up the slack and letting those bones come into my palms. And it just feels good. Not too much pressure, just enough that, you know, it feels good. Now I'm spreading my hands apart. Feeling this in the sinuses for sure. I've definitely used these things for, it's been a long time, knock on wood, since I've had any kind of sinusy stuff, but have definitely been able to change the flow in the sinuses with these techniques. So I'm going in and kind of out, you know, like this. Then I'm ear pulls. So I'm just grabbing my ears and pulling out and down a little bit. I will say, you know, it's important to be supported when you're doing a lot of these hand moves, because, you know, you can get strain in your shoulders then. And I experienced that last year when I was doing so many hours of self-treatment. This shoulder, which was the one that was involved and had been, you know, hit the ground, this got really tight and I ended up with a lot of kind of difficulty, but I got through it. Was able to work through that shoulder as well. The ball. We're still talking about headaches. Even if you don't have TMJ problems, if you poke around in this area and you have anything tender, because again, hot, hard, or tender, right? A number of times in the morning in bed, I would be lying down, put this on the bed, and find a spot for that was, you know, I could tell right from my jaw. And then I would put my hand over here, like work on this side most of the time. But I didn't have to, like, this is really getting into there now. It feels good. I'm pressing up. And then you can also move the ball. Like if I wanted to roll the tissue, a really good place to talk about that is on the abdomen. So if I'm working this scar area here and the scar is pulling down, this is often what we see in the pelvic region. So I've got, you know, the scar is tight, it's pulling down. I want to pull up, right? I want to pull away from that area that it's pulling down. So I put the ball there. I roll the ball up, and if you guys can see this, I'll roll it like this. See how that's going to grab the tissue, and then I lie down. So it feels different than just pressing it in there. So in other words, I can just put it here, or I can scoop it so that it's tugging on the skin like I'm going up. Can you guys see that? Like that. I'm dragging the tissue so that I can actually feel it pull toward the pelvic floor when I do it that way. So it adds a little bit of a different twist or a different directional pull on the ball. And you can play with the ball that way anywhere. So, you know, and of course it's a little different when you have it on clothes, because clothes like slide a little bit, but it can be super effective. And here's another ball trick. a lot of times I'll put it inside my pants so that it doesn't roll around. Or if I want to do my calf, this is another good one because I think the calf is hard to get sometimes. Put it at the fleshy part of the calf. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's tender there. And so I'm holding it there right now. But if I put a blanket around it, kind of keep it from rolling around. And the weight of my upper leg is pressing on that ball. And it feels perfect, actually. So I could be like this. And that is really that tight area of the calf is just resting there. And, you know, the calves can get super tight. Like when you don't have that full motion of your foot, or when you do that leg lengthener and you pull your toes back and you really feel your calf, this is a great one to do. And find different spots, or find the spot that's the most tender. Like I'll actually take my hand and move down and feel where it's the most tender there for a while. This is about 5 years ago. I had a lot of, always my right side. My calf in here was so bad. I even went to it for an intensive, and this was after the intensive, and it was still there. Like we didn't get to it on the intensive. So when I came home, I'm like, all right, I got to get through this calf thing because clearly it didn't go away. So I have to work on it. So this is what I did. It was in here. I could just squeeze it and I could feel it. It was like, you know, really, really painful here. So I would just hold it. I found that spot and I held it and held it and held it and held it. And, you know, thankfully I could easily reach it. That would be the only difficult thing. But, you know, we have a tendency to get to forget or get bored and want to move on. And sometimes just when you're about to quit is really about when the miracle is going to happen, you know? So if you just hang on a little more, you might be able to get another really good release. So, wow, it's 9 o'clock. I talked for an hour. Hopefully that was helpful a little bit. You guys got some tips?
Yes.
Any last questions or thoughts or comments? Okay. Let me know, like shoot me a text. Let me know if that was helpful or too much or too long or whatever, or what you'd like to hear next time as we try to navigate this whole new idea and new plan to help people, and just really be consistent, you guys. Truly, even if it's only 5 minutes a day is better than nothing, but find some days where you can start adding to that and you'll really start to see changes. Experience. Okay,
Awesome.
thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Love you.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.